Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 94 of Did You Bring the Hummus podcast. I'm Kimberly, your host, and I'm super excited to be here with you today. Did You Bring the Hummus is a podcast for all things vegan. Episodes post every Monday on your favorite podcast app. Before we get started, I have one very important question for you. Did you bring the hummus? Do you love the podcast? Would you get a kick out of hearing a shout out on a future episode? How about time to connect virtually with me and other listeners, quarterly or monthly? Or if you're a vegan business who would like to sponsor episodes of Did You Bring the Hummus, I'd love to chat. Find out more under the Support the Podcast tab on my website. I've started offering meditation sessions over Zoom again. As of the publishing of this episode, they take place on alternating Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Sign-up options include individual sessions at $15, a monthly subscription for $50, or a 10-session package good for 6 months for $110. Thinking about embarking on your own vegan journey? Book a free call with me to find out how my 12-week vegan voyage program can help. Today, I am joined by Heather Zeitzwolfe. Heather is a passionate speaker and advocate dedicated to helping people transition into veganism and adopt a plant-based diet. Her mission is to challenge the status quo and encourage others to think differently, particularly regarding veganism and ethical living. Heather guides people toward embracing the benefits of veganism and provides the tools needed to maintain a cruelty-free lifestyle. She is dedicated to animal rights, equality, and justice, inspiring others to make compassionate choices. Heather is a GenX'r, nerd, doll collector, film geek, cat mom, entrepreneur, AI enthusiast, content creator, Tofu Wizard, and podcaster. She lives each day sharing laughter and positive energy. In this episode, you'll hear a lot of that, and Heather shares her vegan journey, the joys of tofu, tips on how to save money and navigate a budget, the magic of Toastmasters, and her many attempts to fly with hummus. Hey, Heather, welcome. Thanks for joining me.
I'm so excited to be here today. And this feels like a long time coming. I'm very excited about this.
Me too. And it definitely does. All the different times that we've connected and we've got to do this. And now we're here doing it.
Yes.
So we started off before I hit record. We were having a great conversation about our cats and how unique they are and how they can read our vibe. So we'll talk about that a little bit later in the episode so you guys can hear all of the very interesting thoughts that we have about these cats. But to get started, Heather, please share with me your vegan journey.
Oh, thank you for asking. And cats actually come into play for sure. Okay. And I don't literally play with cats. Yes, to double meaning. Anyways, my vegan journey. Well, I was somebody that had quote unquote pets growing up. We had animals in the house. I never really paid much attention to them. I named all of the animals in our house, but that was about where it stopped. And I think maybe I had a bad experience with a cat once when I was a kid because my mom came into the room and I was in my high chair and the cat was sitting on top of my book, just staring into my eyes. So I don't know what happened. And I had a friend next door that she had cats and her arms were always full of scratches. And so I was just like, animals, I don't want to be bothered. And at one point we had a parrot and it turned out that parrot could sing opera. Wow. We had adopted it. It was an amazing creature, but it knew that I wasn't really into it. And it would cackle every time I would pass by the cage. It'd be like, and then I'd scream and it would laugh. And it had this funny laugh and it did a smoker's cough. It was an amazing creature. But at the time I just was like, and my mom would let it out of its cage and it would just kind of walk around and chase us. And so I grew up with not really being an animal person at all. And when it came to nature, I was one of those people that every time I was brought to see a waterfall or something that was supposed to be impressive, I was just like, when are we going shopping? Where's the mall? So, and to me, like I was just never into like the animals, the environment, like that just was like, that just seemed like a hippie thing to me, and I was like a new wave kid. So that was like not even on my radar at all. So as far as like the vegan, like the food part of it, my brother was a vegetarian in the 70s, so I did grow up knowing what tofu was, and I did go to some of those crazy 70s of quote unquote vegetarian restaurants, where like people sat on the floor and you had alfalfa sprouts and it was smelled like wheat germ, and everything always had alfalfa sprouts. It's just such the weirdest thing. Anyways, so it was like it seemed kind of like this like kind of weird subculture or something, and sometimes you go to the natural store. It was always like this like tiny little place in maybe a strip mall somewhere, and they'd have protein powders and things like that. So it wasn't really in the mainstream when I was growing up. But I had been, I had known what I even knew what wheat meat was because I used to like to go to Asian restaurants, and my brother would order wheat gluten, and I was like, ooh, this is good, tasty stuff. So, I was exposed over the years. So it wasn't a foreign thing to me. But, I live in Portland, Oregon, and I was meeting more and more people that were vegan. And I was like, hey, man, those guys are always so skinny. They always look healthy. And I was starting to gain weight. And I thought, why don't I try this vegan thing, And, truth be told, though, like over the years, like I had been like, oh, I'm not eating red meat. I knew about the farming, and and I knew that the whole like free range thing was a crock, and all these things. Like you get exposed to it, and I was against fur and all that kind of stuff, but it just didn't like 100% sink in. Like it was like, oh, that's what the hippies do or something,
Yeah.
So, and nothing against hippies,
Of course.
it just but it's a generational thing for me. Anyways, so I said to my husband, hey, what if this New Year's we go vegan? And so we gave up. We were eating four-legged animals. He had already done his like kind of flirted with vegetarianism as well, over the years. And so then we gave up chicken. I've been lactose intolerant since a kid, so like dairy was like a no, nothing really to me. We gave up eggs. My husband, the big thing for him was cheese. He was a big cheese person, so we gave that up. And then the last thing we gave up was fish. And I grew up with a dad that owned a fish market, and so seafood was like very much in my culture. I was a kid from New England, so it was like lobster and shrimp and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, and then my husband, he loved seafood, and so we went to a sushi restaurant and like had an all you can eat sushi thing, right? That was it. Wipe my hands of that, and that was the last of it for me. I didn't know that was going to be the last of it. I just thought like this is a temporary thing. But what happens is you give up this stuff, and like you're not eating it, and then all of a sudden you're really like, you tell people like, oh no, sorry, I can't eat that. I'm doing the vegan thing for 30 days, and then 30 days turned into 60 days, and then it was like, oh well, this is good. I feel good. I feel more energized. And then we went on a trip, and it was like, oh, we try out vegan restaurants and all of that. And I saw a vegan leaflet and opened it up, and I'd seen vegan leaflets in the past, and I'm looking through this thing, and I'm like horrified, like seeing pictures that I've seen before. I mean, I used to be on PETA's mailing list, so I knew about this stuff, but it's different when you don't have meat in your system anymore. I swear you look at things with a brand new set of eyes.
Yeah.
And because I think that we're programmed to think that meat is something that we're supposed to eat. Like, I mean, that's just how we're brought up. And so you kind of turn it off, and not thinking about like, this is a living creature. This is, and again, like I said, I wasn't really into animals as a kid. So it was like easy for me to turn that switch off when I was before. But now I was vegan, and I'm like looking through it with a new set of eyes, and I'm like, this is terrible. This is horrible stuff here. And we got a cat also in the meantime. And I had always been terrified of cats because my friend had scratches all over her arms all the time. And God knows what happened with the cat that we had, sitting on my book looking at me. And so I was like always thinking like a cat, oh my God, like a cat's gonna like suck out your air while you're sleeping and take away your soul, or who knows, all these dumb ideas.
My dad used to say that. Yeah.
And so my husband wanted to adopt this cat, and a friend had a cat litter, and there was this little black cat, and he's like, he saved that one for my husband, and I was like, ugh, well, okay, sure, okay, we'll get this cat, but I'm not playing with it. I'm not paying attention to it. I'm not going to feed it. You're cleaning the cat box. I don't want anything to do with this thing. So we go over and look at the cat, and I'm like, it's cute, whatever, but okay, I'm not dealing with it. Then my husband goes to the store. He gets like the toys, he gets the litter box, he gets the food and all this stuff. And then he brings the cat over. And so then I get out one of the toys and I start playing with this cat, and it's this little baby kitten. And oh my God, something in me, like a switch went off, and I see this little cat playing with his toys, and he's got his little paws in the air, and he's like batting away at this thing. And I'm like, oh my God, what is happening to me? I'm like, my whole world is changing. And and then crazy cat lady came out of me. Like it was a changed person. And having that connection with this cat really was like I want to say nail in the coffin, but that sounds depressing. It was like, I'm never going back, because like when I looked into that cat's eyes, I could see all the other animals, and I made that connection. And from then on, I was like, I swear I'm never going back. And so all of this happened, within like the first 6 months or something of becoming vegan. And so it had a profound effect on me.
Yeah.
I started like, I always recycled and stuff, but then I started like thinking about like my actual impact on the environment. And yes, I enjoy being on concrete probably more than having roots and dirt under my feet where I can trip and fall, but I do think about now about our effect on the environment, and how I can better impact the future of the world and for the animals. I went to farm sanctuaries and visited animals and fed goats, carrots, and oh my God, it was just such an incredible experience. And then I went to an Earth Day rally, and I had always been into like protesting for my rights and all that kind of stuff, but that really was like really the catalyst for me to get really involved as an activist, because at this Earth Day thing, I saw these cheerleaders, and they were the radical cheerleaders for animal rights. And I'm like, they're performing and they're saying things, and there's what they're saying is actually really profound and deep and heavy stuff, but people are paying attention to them because they're not like the mean protester that's yelling at the cars and with the signs that are kind of disgusting, and nothing against that, because I mean sometimes there is a time and place for that. But anyways, people were listening to them, and I thought, wow, this is a really cool way of protesting. And I've always been a performer, so I was like, ooh, this kind of checks both boxes. So then I got involved with them, and I loved graphic design, so I designed a logo for them, and we had hoodies made, and I had buttons made, and it was fun. And so then I got super involved with that. And so then once you get involved with the community of what's going on and helping out local, I got involved with some of the not just PETA, but then it was in defense of animals, and then the local vegan society and that sort of thing, and volunteering at Veg Fest, and the more you get involved in it, then you get deeper and deeper in there. So they got their claws on you, right?
That's right. Yeah, you can't break free of that.
Yeah. And I don't have any tattoos, but I think if I did get a tattoo, it would say the word vegan, because I can't even imagine, I when I was a kid, I thought it was going to be Duran Duran. I still love Duran Duran, but and I'm glad it's not on my arm.
Yeah.
But I think a vegan tattoo would probably be something that I would be into. Anyways, that's a long story.
Yeah, it was a
but
great story.
it kind of, gives you sort of like the little things of like it, because you hear like, I have a friend that she went, they went vegan because their daughter saw a rabbit that was in a meat rack and was like, "What's that?" And they were like, "Oh, that's a rabbit." And the kid was like, "Someone's gonna eat that?" Like, it was horrified. And so the kid went vegan, and then my friend went vegan. And so, when you're a kid, you can look at things in a different way.
Yeah.
And I did have one experience though that has been in my brain. When I was a kid, my brother, my oldest brother, he was 20 years older than me. He had a piece of land and he got a pig, and the pig's name was Porcadites. Now, as a kid, I'm not making that association that pork is pig meat, like, I'm just thinking that's a cute name, Porcadites, and we loved that pig. We'd feed that pig, and would he had kids, and we'd go out and look at Porcadites and all that kind of stuff. And then one day we're eating food, and I don't remember exactly the conversation, but it turned out I was eating Porcadites,
Oh.
and that was so devastating and horrible and crushing. It's like you're eating something that you just played with. Like, it was gross and disgusting, but unfortunately, like, that thing didn't make that impact at that point, in my life. I think I was way too young to like associate that, because like, when you go to a grocery store, like, meat is packaged, and plus my mom did the shopping, like, it's
Right.
just
You're
there's
disconnected.
just it's
Yeah.
disconnected. And so I think that, if I had a parent that was more like, brought me to the meat counter and was like, "Hey, this came from this animal," and you see the blood in the packaging and all that, that I think I would have made that connection sooner. Because, I mean, now thinking about it is just gross. Like, the whole thing is gross. So, there are those little bits and pieces, and I've heard, you know, people like, I think it was Will Tuttle. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's I heard him speak once, and I could have sworn it was him that talked about being like living on a farm and like eating, seeing animals slaughtered, and like not quite making that connection until later. So it does, like, sometimes it takes time. And hopefully I think that I have the right person. But yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting when we get to the point that we're at now, where we can see exactly who is suffering, how much they're suffering, and we make the connection from that suffering being to those packages in the grocery store. But growing up, and even some people as adults, we're so trained that this is how it's supposed to be because they're less than we are. They aren't as smart or capable as humans are, because if they were, wouldn't they be the ones running the world? I love that. And so it's almost as if, because they are less than, and we've been taught that they make us healthy, they help us grow, they're the reasons our brains are so big, that they deserve to be our food. And we deserve to have them as our food. And there are people who just never, unfortunately, get to make the connection that, oh no, these are individuals who are interested in their own life, in their own being, their own cowness and chickenness and pigness, and it's at this point, I'm like, how has not everyone made this connection? And then I have to step back and remember that, like, I live in this vegan bubble and the rest of the
Right.
world does not like this.
And I hold on to that, all of those thoughts that I had, in the past, and remember, like, when I meet people, what was my experience in the past, and not be like the angry vegan of like, why don't they know better? It's
Yeah.
like, and like, the whole thing of like, uh, you wouldn't eat a cat or a dog.
Mhm.
I mean, at least like in our society, we're like, oh, you're not
Right.
supposed to
That's
do
horrific.
that.
Why would
We
you?
have we have laws against like, um torturing cats and dogs. We
Mhm.
don't have laws against torturing what quote unquote like farm animals. Like that's
Right.
okay for
Yeah.
some reason. Like you
Mhm.
can punch a cow, you can
Right.
punch a pig, but if you did that to a dog, oh, you're gonna go to jail, and people think like, oh, you must be like a serial killer or something like that.
Mhm.
But they don't make like, one is a commodity to us, and the
Yep.
other, it's very strange. And but like I said, when I changed my vision of like how I see things, I could see like, oh, wait a minute. So this cow has a personality. And like, I mean, have you seen those videos where like somebody's playing music and the cows come around and
Yes.
they love the music,
Mhm.
and it's like, it's so adorable, and you're like,
Yeah.
and then I saw one recently where there were elephants, and a guy was like playing music and the elephants were coming around. And
Mm.
we know that elephants are intelligent creatures. We know that cows have personalities.
Yeah.
Chickens, people have chickens in their backyard. They know these chickens have personalities and
Mhm.
stuff. And so it's a strange thing that like, um it makes me so sad, especially, I mean all the animals, but like pigs in general, that pigs are, we know that they're smarter than dogs, and it's not like I'm like putting animals like on a ranking of like, this is smarter
Right.
than this. But I'm
Yeah.
just, people know dogs, they love dogs. A pig is smarter than a dog, at least that's what I've been told.
Mhm.
And yet we put a pig in a cage that it's barely able to move. Like it can
Mm.
barely move at all. From the time that it's pretty much born and can stand, it's put in this cage. And it's like solitary confinement. And then a pig is wants to be able to like nuzzle with its nose and all the things that it wants to do, it's not able to do.
Mhm.
So we think about like, okay, if you put somebody into solitary confinement, like think about like all the psychological damage that does to somebody. I don't
Yeah.
care if they're guilty of any crime or whatever it is. I don't think that's, I mean, that's just cruel and unusual punishment for
Yeah.
anyone. I don't care what they've
Absolutely.
done.
Mhm.
So knowing that, why would we do that to an animal? I mean, regardless of if we're thinking it's food or whatever it is,
Mhm.
like, why would we do that? Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't even make any sense. And
Right.
so these animals go literally insane, and they like chew at the bars, and like, so I just think like, if we said to somebody like, and I know people like kennel their dogs and stuff, and okay, do whatever you want to do. To me, that's solitary confinement too. But
Mhm.
and I know there could be training things that go involved with that. But I think anything contained in a cage for any period of time just seems cruel to me.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't want to hate mail. I mean, I understand people do that for certain reasons, training and all that kind of stuff. But if but think about if your dog had to be in a cage like that for day after day after day after day, never gets to walk, never gets
Yep.
to, and people are always like, sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but
No,
people
we're
are like,
good.
oh, I got to take my dog out for a walk. Yeah, you do.
You
And
do.
guess what? That pig would also like to
Mhm.
be able to move around,
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's just a matter of like, people just don't know. I think people
Yeah.
don't, they just have no idea. Or if they do know, they're thinking, I like bacon, and that's where their brain goes. So
Right.
it's like,
Yeah. 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 It's all about their own taste preferences and this idea. They met one vegan once who either was mean or their mom's cousin's sister's best friend had a daughter who went vegan for 3 days and died. So, or almost died. And then as soon as she had meat again, she was brought back to life or some like nonsense like that, right?
Right. Yeah. Or there was like, I don't remember. It was like several years ago where it was like this couple that had tortured their children or whatever. And like on the news, they said, and they were a vegan couple. And it's like, okay, for one thing, like, I don't really think that vegans would do that. But like the media, of course, latched onto that thing. Like, oh, they're vegans.
Right. That's what made them do this. Or
yeah.
that's why their kids, died. Yeah. No.
Yeah. And like I had somebody the other day that said, like, well, I love, I think I could maybe go vegan, but I hate tofu. And it's like, okay, well, tofu is a blank slate. So obviously you just like had it out of the package or something.
Right.
Like obviously someone did not prepare it well for you. So that is one of my favorite things to do, is to serve someone tofu and have them not know that they're eating tofu.
Yeah.
And now if they were allergic to soy or something, I'm not going to pull a fast one on them. But and I hate pickles. So like if you put a pickle in something, I want to know. But tofu is just a blank slate. So it's like, you can make anything out of it. Yeah. I can make delicious chocolate pudding out of tofu.
Right.
And then when you give it to somebody and they're like, this is awesome. And you're like, do you know that you're eating tofu? And they're like, what?
What do you mean? Yeah. I love that at the internet speak, right? It's like, oh, I hate tofu. Tofu's gross. It's like, tell me you don't know how to cook without telling me you don't know how to cook.
Or there's this meme that has gone around forever that soy is bad for you and it does all these terrible things. And it's like, okay, you always have to look at who's doing the quote unquote research for these things. And then, we know from certain politicians that lies will go out into the ether and people latch onto these things. And so we always have to do our due diligence. So if you think something is bad for you, maybe check into it before you make a blanket statement that, in the Asian culture, tofu, they've been eating that for centuries, right? So and they have some of the longest living people on the planet, right? So
and I have not seen any men growing breasts from eating that much tofu. So I mean, anecdotally, right? That's just my experience. But
yeah, and exactly. And if people are so afraid of ingesting hormones or things that are like going to like maybe make some kind of alteration to their hormones, they should think about the dairy industry, which is completely fed hormones. Chickens are fed hormones to have bigger breasts that are grown so big that their legs will crush underneath them. Cows are also given there's all kinds of hormones in meat. I mean, and antibiotics and people wonder, like, why are we, so we can't take antibiotics, they don't work anymore. Well, guess what? Because you're ingesting them. And then all that crap goes into the water too, because people eat meat. And so now we're inundated by all that stuff.
Yeah. So. It's just bad. So bad.
But hey, we're gonna have a positive conversation, right?
We are. We definitely will get to that. I'll end this with my husband and I volunteered at a local farmed animal sanctuary a couple of years ago. More than a couple. It was definitely before COVID. And there were some turkeys there. These standard, white turkeys that are bred for Thanksgiving and stuff typically. And two of them, they were walking so slowly and you could just see the agony in the movement. And so the woman who was walking us through right before we started volunteering, we were like cleaning out like the paddocks and stuff. And she was like, they're too big. They grow them so big that they'll live a quarter or less of the life they should have because their bodies can't handle it. Between their hearts not being able to handle the extra weight and their legs being, like you said, crushed underneath this weight of this heavy body that they would not grow if they weren't pumped full of all kinds of shit. And so that people can buy more turkey meat. And it's so heartbreaking. And, I hope that people get to see more of that, but also more of the ones who, when they get to sanctuary, their lives are able to be a full, they're not really suffering from injuries, and they get to have that like full experience of being a loved being who gets to be healthy and live out the rest of their life. So I think it's so important for us to see what we're doing and really understand. And I thank you so much for the way that you went through that, where it's not just about the animals and what's happening to the animals, but it ends up in our water. It's affecting our environment, it's affecting us. We're consuming things that are damaging our bodies, and yeah, and then we're becoming immune to things because we're so pumped full of these drugs through the food that we're eating. And
Mhm.
so yeah, just thank you for laying that out so clearly and helping people see it's not just one thing. It's really like our whole system is just full of this stuff that is hurting us, hurting the animals, and hurting the planet.
Yeah, and the erosion that comes from all of the productivity, the production of cows, the ripping down of the rainforest. I mean,
Mhm.
there's just so many. And on PBS, I saw the other day there was a special on the Amazon, and there is a I did not know about this. There is a dolphin that lives in the river in the Amazon, and it's a special looking dolphin,
Hmm.
and they the Amazonians like have like a ceremony for this dolphin every year, and they've been doing it for hundreds and hundreds of years. But it was such an interesting looking creature.
Hmm.
And like we think about like dolphins are super smart. And then
Yeah.
um these dolphins can communicate through sonar and all of that. And we think about like our oceans. That's another area where it's like, we think like, oh, the oceans are so vast and our rivers and all of this, but we are just destroying it like crazy. I
Mhm.
went to an underwater thing in Mexico one time. It was like a submarine
Mm.
thing. It just kind of basically kind of went around underneath. There was hardly any sea life. And I'm
Hmm.
like, that's weird.
Yeah.
And it's because things are just dying.
Yeah.
And it was horrifying. I mean, I was like, besides the fact that I was like, I want my money back. I didn't really see anything. But
Right.
it really just like opened my eyes of like, we have just raped our oceans.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, when are we getting to the positive stuff?
We'll get to the good stuff right now. So, you are the Savvy Frugal Vegan. You are an accountant, and you are also helping people even understand how we can leverage AI to help us make food plans that allow us to save money and take care of ourselves and feel good about what we're eating. Where do you want to start? Why don't we start with, I asked, where do you want to start? And then I'm going to tell you. Why don't we start with how do we leverage AI? Do you want to start there?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm very intrigued by AI. There's there can be some horrible ramifications that are going to happen from AI. We just know because there's bad people on the planet and they're going to do bad things with it.
Mhm.
But there are other, hopefully there's going to be controls in place and we'll see what happens with it. But we can use it for good. And one of the ways that I have discovered is that you can do things like take pictures of what's in your refrigerator and have AI help you create a vegan menu from what you have in your refrigerator.
That's
You can
amazing.
ask, yeah, you can ask it to help you do meal plans. And so when I say like chat gpt, that's in general, you can use that one, you can use other ones, but it's a great searching tool. So and when you go into Google, rather than you can, there are so many great vegan blogs, and I don't want to pull people away from vegan blogs, but there are, when a lot of times when you go to blogs, there's a lot of advertising that's
Oh,
there and
yeah.
like pop-ups that happen and that sort of thing. So if you don't want to have to weed through those things, and I do say please support people that are doing vegan,
Yeah.
outreach, vegan blogs, that sort of thing. So please do visit them. But you can use Gemini, which is Google's kind of AI search thing, and have it just give you a recipe, and you don't have to go through so many hoops of like clicking. Oh, wait a minute. No, now there's this pop-up that's getting in front of the menu and I can't see the recipe anymore, so you can do it that way. One of my favorite things to do is although the TV show Chopped does not necessarily, it has had vegan guests on it, but Chopped is one of those shows where they get a mystery basket and they open it up and it's got like candy canes, scallops, and then a bunch of parsley. And then they have to do something with it, right? It's like these random things. So I like to play Chopped in my refrigerator or my pantry, and I look to see what I got. And sometimes we don't know, like, oh, okay, do these things make a good combination? Like I've been cooking long enough now that that was the other thing. I was never a good cook until I went vegan, but that's a whole other story.
Same. But
so I'll like look at what I have on the shelf. You can put it into AI and be like, is there a recipe that contains these ingredients, and then it will tell you. And you can also use it, to search to see, like, because sometimes I'll be like, I'm thinking about tomato and, cauliflower, like two things I got in the kitchen. Does anybody ever combine these things? Like, what do you do with these? Like, and so you can use AI to help you do things like that. So it can help you meal plan. You can help you create a grocery list. There's so many things that you can do with it. So it's not just there for evil, but you can do some. So use it as like a second brain. Like you're like, oh God, I know. Or maybe what was that thing? Like yesterday I was making dinner and because I go to Costco, so I had this huge thing of zucchini, and usually they give you a little thing of zucchini and some yellow squash mixed together. For some reason, it was all zucchini this time. And so I open it up. I'm like, man, I got to make something with the zucchini. And I'm like, I got a lot of zucchini sitting here. So I decided, zucchini bread. So I just started, I got my mandolin out and I started doing that. And then I just grabbed one of my cookbooks and just said, like, because I pretty much, I call it bebop cooking. I cook like jazz. Like I'm just like, I put things in but when you bake, you got to make sure like there's the right enough salt, baking soda, baking powder. Like there is some science behind it to make it actually like do the thing it needs to do. So I did kind of look, so you could do stuff like that, like zucchini bread, or what can I do with a zucchini that's not just like frying it up or baking it or stuff.
Right.
So anyways.
Yeah. What's your favorite cookbook, since you mentioned that? Do you have a favorite?
Oh, okay. I have a wall of vegan cookbooks. So that's a loaded question.
Okay.
My favorite cookbooks would be ones that have pictures of delicious food that inspire me to cook. But as far as the ones that I probably go back to, The Joy of Vegan Baking is probably one of my favorites, just because, again, there's like, and then there's other ones where like there's I love soul food, so I love looking at soul food recipes, but then I kind of just do my own thing with it. And Veganomicon is one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, me too. That there's a recipe in there. It's a tempeh sausage with rotelli pasta. Ooh. And it is so good because it's just tempeh with some fennel and some other seasonings. And I feed it to pre-vegans all the time, and they never, and like tempeh, if you show someone tempeh, they're like, oh, what the fuck is that? But especially, well, in the US anyway, it's common food elsewhere. But here in the US, they're like, what is that? But you crumble it up and you put it with the seasonings, and they're like, oh, this tastes like sausage and it's crumbly, and yeah, it's just a really simple, but it comes out beautiful. It's got broccoli rabe in it too. And I usually, if I'm gonna make that, I'll also make her Caesar salad that's in that book. And it makes such a great meal.
Wow. Yeah. There's so many recipes that are great in there. And then I have, probably, I don't know, 6 or 8 of her cookbooks or something. And then Mauskowitz, I think it's her last name.
Isa Chandra Moskowitz.
Yeah. And but I collect cookbooks. It's so funny, like in my neighborhood, people give away books all the time. There's those little book libraries things and stuff. And oftentimes there's a cookbook in there, and I just like to collect cookbooks. So even if it's not even a vegan cookbook, I'll collect it and be like, I'm gonna make this vegan, and there's just something really, I think it's hilarious to look at old cookbooks, because not only are the pages really old, but like the images like look so like outdated, like a Jello mold with like weird pieces of things in it. Like, did people really bring that to parties? I do remember that.
That was like a classy dessert.
Yeah. And then I think about like, there's something weird about like a picture of food, and then you think about like, what if that food was still there on the plate? Like, what would that be now? Like, I don't know. My brain just goes to those things. But now pictures are gorgeous in cookbooks. They're not like that weird, discolored, strange thing with the chunks of stuff floating in there. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So I mentioned before, you're also an accountant and you are the Savvy Frugal Vegan. Tell me, how can we, because I hear all the time, and I'm sure you do too, it's too expensive to be vegan. I'd love to do it, but I can't feed my family vegan food, or, it's just me, but it's still too much. What do you say to that? And how do you help people view things differently?
Yeah. Well, first is you got to cook. So you got to kind of get over yourself. So I was somebody that was, my mom would be in the kitchen. I'd be like, whatever, like, I'm watching MTV, like, I don't want to cook. And so I didn't grow up in the kitchen. And if, and before I went to college, my mom's like, you have to learn to cook. I'm like, whatever. And I was like, okay, boil a bag was a big thing back then. This was in the 80s. TV dinners, things that came in packages that had like the pre-pack with the seasoning, and you open it up, and just think like ramen noodles, or rice-a-roni or whatever it was. Like, so like it had to be like in a package. Like, I thought that was cooking. Like that was cooking. So and then like, oh, I guess I'd get a vegetable. Like, okay, you put it with that. And I mean, I don't have anything. I never was like against vegetables. It was just like, if it didn't come in the package, like, why would I add it? Like, so that was like, and there was like things like I would make a rice pudding that had almonds, and it was made with brown rice, and it was a really good rice pudding, but it came in a box with all the things. Like, I had no idea that like you could actually make rice pudding on your own.
Right.
Like, what? Even and so like my brain didn't even think about like you can make these things like without buying it in a package. Like, and so I think a lot of people just think of cooking as that. I mean, when you look at a supermarket, most of the supermarket is packaged stuff. And then the fresh stuff is like usually on the outer edges. So one is start to explore and start to cook. Now, if I can learn to cook, anybody can learn to cook.
Same
and
here.
And part of it is just learning like, oh, okay, these are the things that you need to make this. Like, okay, think about the things that you do like if it was like rice-a-roni or whatever, I'm just making this up, like, look at the package, like, what's in there? Okay, probably a lot of stuff you can't even even probably pronounce, because it's probably a bunch of chemicals. But think, okay, it's rice, that's pretty easy to make. And then seasoning. Oh, you can buy seasoning? Like, it's like there's an area for that, like
a whole aisle,
a whole aisle of seasoning. Like, so just start exploring like different things. And if you are like clueless, like I was, maybe explore some things at restaurants first if you are first getting into veganism, and try some different foods, because you may be like, I don't know what to make. Like, you're clueless. So try foods, like maybe if you've never had Indian food before, go explore, have Ethiopian food, have Thai food, like dive into different cultures and see how they eat things that are so flavorful that are vegan. Because as an American, I know you have audience that's all over the world, but like Americans eat kind of a bland diet. We like, especially my mom was from Minnesota, so it was like potatoes, a slab of meat and a vegetable, which is like, the vegetable is always like this like side dish that usually has like smothered with something,
Right.
like cheese or, things that are not good for you. And then the salad, which is always in America smothered in ranch dressing. So it's like, it's never, and it's iceberg lettuce, which is not even good for you. So
maybe
it's so
one
funny.
tomato wedge.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And a bunch of croutons, which are like deep fried, right? So examine what we're eating. Okay, so if you are someone that's like, I like a baked potato, potatoes are cheap. You can buy a baked potato. Now, if you go to the grocery store and you buy these, like, I don't understand this, but there's these actual things that are like pre-baked potatoes that don't take long to cook. Like they cost like 6 times the cost of a regular potato. So buy things in bulk, like buy a bag of potatoes. Those are usually cheaper. Don't buy this like these like things that are like a scam. Like it's already like get in if you're worried about the time, get something like an Instant Pot that takes very little time to make a dinner. So if you're trying to like save on time, like there are ways to make things quickly. People, I always hear people say like, oh, well, we did drive through because the kids were hungry and I didn't want to spend that much time cooking. Like I could make dinner in 20 minutes. Like all you need are a few different things, like invest in an Instant Pot, an air fryer, and boom, you're like, you can make food in 20 minutes. Yeah. But so start with things like that, like a baked potato. Okay, that's easy, that's cheap. And then what else can you put on it? Well, you can put, like I said, broccoli. I mean, you could do things like that. So think about things that you like, and then how can you veganize it? And it's all about like, I mean, I go to the store and I'm like, I look at I call it the disco section, which is the discount rack. Like you can find like tons of stuff, and surprise, a lot of it is like the labeled vegan stuff because people don't want it, and so you can get like all kinds of different things, and like vegan yogurts that are like marked down, and you can go to places that are we have grocery outlet out here. I live in Oregon. Some places have Aldi. I think that actually might be an international company, but they get things that are, maybe it's overstock or it's something that's, so if you do want to buy something that is maybe processed or packaged, or like maybe it's a nut butter you want to try or something like that, these places that like this stuff may normally cost like $13 for a nut butter, you might be able to get it for $6. So find different places to shop at if you want to explore different types of brands or trends or different things like that. But like hummus, okay, you can buy packaged hummus. It costs you like something for a little tiny package, and it's got plastic. You can make hummus for like pennies on the dollar. I mean, there are certain things that you can just make, and you can make big batches of it. You can freeze stuff. I don't understand people that can't have leftovers. Some people are like, oh, I don't do leftovers.
I know, right? I love them.
I know. So if you're going to make something, think about ways that you can make it, and then you can repurpose it. Like we repurpose our social media. If you're a content creator, you can repurpose food. So like the other day I made little potatoes and broccoli, and then surprise, the next day I had leftovers because I always make extra. And then I made a casserole with potatoes and broccoli. And so you can repurpose things. I could have taken that and made a soup out of it. Like, so you don't have to have the exact same meal. Like, think about ways that you can cook something up, especially, and think about your week. Like, okay, I don't have kids, so I don't have to worry about like going to bringing my kids to soccer practice or something. But if there's a day that you're not going to be home, think of like, can you cook ahead? Can you make things on the weekend? Buy in bulk. I mean, there's so many. So watch my channel. You can go to my YouTube channel, Savvy Frugal Vegan, and I talk about different ways that I save money. But I always have an inventory. I'm pointing to, you can't see me, but I'm pointing towards my laundry room where I've got shelves of all kinds of stuff. And I go to Costco and I buy big bags of things, and I have plastic buckets that, I seal it up and I keep it, or you put things in a refrigerator and you seal it up. I'm a coupon person. There's no shame in coupons. And so what if the person behind you is getting annoyed? You're saving money. So, or go to the self-checkout. That's what I do, and use all my coupons.
Yeah.
So.
What's your favorite? This is selfish because I'm getting bored with breakfast and I need more suggestions. What's your favorite breakfast?
Okay, so sometimes I skip breakfast. But one of my favorite things to make, and you may be making this yourself, is I love chia seed pudding. And so I just do it the night before, and it's super, super easy. You take chia seeds, you put in a bowl, I put in some shredded coconut. I maybe if I've got sliced almonds, I'll put some of that in. I'll put some rolled oats in there, a little bit of maple syrup. You can put some jam in there, or if you've got like some frozen fruit, you can put it in there. And you can make it with soy milk or oat milk, or I always put cinnamon or pumpkin spice in there, and then you mix it all up. And sometimes I put hemp hearts in there, and some of the stuff you can put on later. It's really the chia seeds and the oats that they have to kind of soak overnight. And the chia seeds, if you've never cooked with them, they kind of plump up, and you want them to, this sounds disgusting, but congeal. That's what kind of makes things thicker. But I think your body will probably digest them better than just like raw chia seeds. And then it makes this lovely pudding, and you can eat it like yogurt. So you can put fruit on it the next day. You can put a little bit of jelly. You can put cereal on it, that sort of thing. So that's one of my definite go-tos. Steel cut oats is another one. But if I've got time, one of my things my husband actually makes is faux eggs and faux sausages, and he got that from one of Issa's cookbooks. And he makes those. And we got the there's these little silicone cupcake holder things, like and so you can make the little faux eggs in those, so you can have little individual eggs, and you just put them in the oven. Yeah, it's made with tofu and chickpea flour and some other ingredients, and it's amazing. A lot of protein, and it gives you that sort of eggy quality. I make like a frittata. I can make sort of almost the same kind of thing, and then you put some vegetables in there. You can even put frozen vegetables and vegan cheese or whatever, put it in the oven, and then you get this lovely little, almost like an eggy souffle. You can do similar things with quiche, make a quiche out of it. I mean, tofu is like the wonder. My favorite. You can do everything. And if you can't have soy, then you could do it with chickpea flour and some other things. So pea powder, I use pea protein, and so yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if that gives you some other ideas, but
it does. Yeah. I've been doing chia pudding here and there, and what changed it for me, because I was starting to get bored with that too, is I started adding a little bit of vanilla extract when I'm
you
mixing
gotta do
it.
that. Yeah.
And like I had never thought of it before, but I was making a breakfast, like an oat breakfast from the Fiber Fueled book, and it called for adding a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and I went, "What in the world is this? How have I never thought to put this in here?" And you use so little of it that I know that pure vanilla extract is not necessarily a cheap item to buy, but when you think about, okay, I'm going to spend here in New Jersey $13 on like a big one, but I'm going to use that probably at least the next 6 months. And I'm not going to have it every day. And so when you break it down, I guess it ends up being not as it feels expensive in the moment, but you can kind of break it down to be like, oh, this actually isn't a crazy expense, and it gives it a sweetness and an incredible vanilla flavor, obviously, without like sugar, or so you're not using, you don't have to use like vanilla flavored soy milk, or where there's extra sugars and things like that. So I feel like it adds a little zip without a whole lot of else, right?
If I can put cinnamon and vanilla extract and pretty much, I mean, those are like, sometimes the recipe will not call for vanilla, and I'm like, come on, let's put some vanilla in here. So you made me think of a couple of things. One is blackstrap molasses is full of iron, and it has a sweetness to it. So I've been kind of drizzling that on my cereals and things like that. So if you need some, if you want some sweetness, at least that has iron in it, which is good. So it's not the regular molasses, it's the blackstrap molasses. And then one thing that I've been doing with my chia seed pudding is taking, I've got this organic vanilla protein shake blend, and I put a scoop of that in and mix it up. And so that gives it more, well, it's got pea protein, it's got all that kind of stuff, but then it also has a vanilla flavor and, according to the container, it's got kale and all kinds of things in it. So then you've got it in there. So, yeah.
That is amazing. So that's helpful in like kind of thinking around how do we save when we're grocery shopping, but there's also like, how do we budget in life? Like, do you have any tips on that? I know I need it. I'm always like, I swear I'm going to sit down, I'm going to budget. And then I sit down and I go, I don't even know where to start. What does it mean? How does this work?
Yeah. So one of my sayings is what you track and look at, you'll pay attention. I used to have a rhyme. Why did that didn't come out right? What you track and look at, you can impact. That's my saying. That's my saying. So I think a lot of times, we think like, oh, well, I don't spend that much money going out to dinner. Oh, I don't spend that much money on this or that. When you actually start to look at it, you'll be surprised, like, whoa, I spend that much money on, downloading movies or, rent. I was gonna say renting movies. People don't rent them any. Well, I guess you do, like if you wanted to just get like a one-off or something on Amazon. But you start to look at what you're spending your money on and you'd be surprised, like, oh, wow, that is kind of a lot of money. I didn't realize that. And, we all want to be like, oh, I want to do something special, go out to dinner, whatever. And I don't know about you, but like if I have something and I spend a lot of money on it and I feel like I could have made that so much, like I only will order something that I won't want to make, like cinnamon rolls. Like that is just too much work and I will pay somebody for that.
Yes.
But like, if it's something I'm like, God, I could have made this at home for just like a fraction of the price.
Yeah.
Maybe just stay home and cook and make it a fun evening cooking. You could have fun in the kitchen, play some music, or for a while there, I was having my husband read me books. And so it was like we were both reading a book, and I got to, it was cool. I'm like, there was this biography of Andy Kaufman, and it was like very interesting to hear that while I was cooking. So you listen to podcasts. So we don't always have to go out to eat. Like, I think we feel like, oh, that's a special thing, but we can have just as much fun in the kitchen. But yeah, looking at those things. So, with technology, we can hook our bank up to a lot of different budgeting software that's online. I mean, be careful what you hook your bank up to and stuff, and make sure it's safe. But it will track it for you. So all you have to do is kind of be like, oh, well, whenever you see this bill comes in, this is, my utilities or whatever. And look at things like, look at your bank statement. People don't look at it enough. There are so many mistakes that happen on bank statements, credit card statements. People think like, oh yeah, I got a refund for that. And they never got the refund, or they got charged for something that I remember it was one time I took my dad out to eat and I got charged twice for the same meal. And had I not been looking at that, I would have paid twice for that. And so I called them up and they saw that it was a mistake. It was run through twice. And so you got to look at these things. I know it's not maybe the funnest thing to do, but I was going to say on a Friday night, guess what I'm doing? Paying bills. Like I like to. And my husband's like, what are you doing in there? How can you possibly still be paying bills? I'm like, I look at every line, and I like, because sometimes on a credit card statement, it'll be like something you're like, what the heck was this? And I'll Google it. And there are charges that people like. And so when I say credit card, like I pay my credit card off every month. I don't pay extra fees. And if you are late and you normally pay, call the credit card company up and say, hey, I got charged for this. I'm always usually on time. Maybe I was on vacation, whatever, because sometimes it happens. Yeah. They will take it off, so just, do your, just speak up. And, if you see that, your credit card, your like cable bill went up, and it's like, it's incredibly insane how high these bills can be. You can threaten them and be like, hey, I'm going to your competitor. And they're like, oh, suddenly they got a deal. Right. Came out of nowhere, and they'll give you this deal. So use some leverage because they need you as a customer. cell phones. People pay so much on cell phone bills. Like,
Mhm.
rethink it. And like, if you're paying a lot of money for your cell phone, maybe you can find a different family plan with a different carrier, or what are you spending money on? So it's like just taking and examining what that is.
Yeah.
Now, you could have debt that you're trying to pay off. That's a serious thing. Credit card debt. Maybe you've got a mortgage on your house. And so if you are paying off credit card debt and you've got student loan debts, we've got a car loan, there's all
Mhm.
these different things. Start to look at, okay, what can I chip away at the quickest? What has the highest interest rate that I can maybe put a little bit more money towards each month, and maybe call up and see, like, will the credit card company take away some of those fees? Now,
Mm.
if you do get them to like, if you're in a world of hurt and they finally take off, like, okay, we're going to just scratch off like $20,000 that you owe us. Keep in mind, though, that that could be taxable and usually is taxable.
Oh.
So the IRS will look at that and you'll get a form, because it's almost as if the credit card company gave you $20,000 to pay that bill. So the IRS looks at that like, oh, well, you just got $20,000. So people are very shocked when that happens, that they have to pay tax on that money, because
Yeah.
it feels like, well, you charged me all this interest. So find out if that's going to be, tax-free. If you have to go the bankruptcy route, sometimes credit card companies will not let you file bankruptcy on their credit card. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's a
Wow.
tricky thing to navigate. So, just be aware of that. And, you've got to also kind of weigh, like, okay, I want to put money away for my future. Do I put money into like an IRA? Do I pay off my credit cards? I mean, you have to really look at what are the long-term things there. And, is your money better spent? Can you want to see, like, where can I get the best bang for my buck? Like,
Yeah.
if you're paying 20% interest, you probably want to get that paid off as fast as possible, because if you can go online and there's all kinds of calculators that will tell you, like, if you paid this off and, if it took you the 30 years, if you're only paying $35 a month, which is like the minimum or something, how much are you paying? And when you see that the bill is like going to be $100,000, you might be
Yeah.
like, oh, maybe I will wait on putting money away into my 401k, just pay this off, and then I can put money into my 401k. So,
Yeah.
or think about, like, can I just put like $10 into the 401k? Like, what can you afford? So
Mhm.
there's a lot of, there's no blanket answer for things. I mean, I follow like all the different gurus and things like that, and they'll all be like, they'll have their thing like, don't have credit cards and this and that. And
Mhm.
but I feel like if you can be responsible with your credit card, and pay it off every month, have a credit card. Sometimes they give you bonus things, and but just be aware of that. And if you shift money from one credit card to another because you can get no interest, that could be a great thing too. But keep in
Mhm.
mind that within a year, or whatever the terms are, you have to get it paid off. And if you haven't, the interest rate is insane.
Yeah.
And you usually have to pay money to move it as well. So it's usually a percentage of it. So you got to kind of look at, like, okay, all those things. So
Mhm.
there's so the that was a long answer to look at things,
Yeah.
and then you can start taking some action.
That was great. Thank you. You reminded me of a very painful lesson that I learned when our fridge here had just died on us. And it was, the fridge that was here when we bought the house. So who knows how long the previous owners had it. And we got a new fridge, and I've learned my lesson now, but I wanted the fridge with the glass door that opened so that I could have stuff there without having to open the whole fridge. I don't know why I thought I needed that. Like you, I don't have kids, so it's not like there's constantly people in and out of the fridge, right?
Yeah.
But I needed it, had to have it, bought it. Put it on the credit card because it was, 0% interest if you paid it off in 18 months. So here
Mm-hmm.
I am thinking, and by the way, the fridge was like a couple $1,000s. And so I'm just
Ooh.
like, I know, it's just nuts. So I'm like, we'll pay it off in 18 months. And I realized, like, oh, the monthly payment is like almost $400. So we were not like to pay it off in that time period. So I thought, oh, that's all right. And then somebody said, well, you have to pay interest. So
Mhm.
I was thinking interest on what's left. Oh,
No.
no. It's interest on the whole thing. And then we
Yeah.
get the bill after the month, after the promotion was over, and I swear it was like double. It was
Mhm.
so painful, and I was so mad, and I don't love the fridge the way I used to.
No. I know, and, people buy things on sale thinking like, "Oh, I'm saving 20%."
Right.
Okay, but yeah, if you don't pay it off, you're probably paying like 70% extra on it,
Mhm,
so
exactly. Oh,
yeah. Yeah,
oh, I'll
those yeah,
never forget that
you gotta
lesson.
do the math on those things and see
Yeah.
like, okay, what are my well, how much do I have to pay off each month? And, sometimes those can be, a great thing, like, like Home Depot or wherever that you shop at, they may have their own credit cards. And like, if you open up a credit card, like I just did something recently, they'll take $100 off.
Mhm.
But again, keep in mind, every time you open up a credit card, that's going to affect your credit score. So if you open up too many credit cards and
Mhm.
like you actually need to take a loan for something like, oh, I want to buy a house.
Yeah.
Oh, well, wait a minute. You just took out like 5 different credit cards. You're not getting a house loan.
Mm-mm.
Like, so you got to think ahead about these
Yeah, for sure. Heather, thank you so much. We've stayed
things.
over and
Oh, sorry.
yeah, no, it's fine. I want to be mindful of your time. Um, do you have a few more minutes?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Because I want to touch on Toastmasters really quickly, and then
Oh,
I'm going to
yeah.
ask you about hummus, and then we'll end. So you and I are both Toastmasters, and we have
Hmm.
both reaped all of the benefits and then some of not just learning how to speak, but the community aspect, the leadership aspect, learning all of the stuff. How does Toastmasters kind of tie into the things that you do? And yeah, that's the question. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, Toastmasters, it's an international organization. There are locations like everywhere you go. And if you've never been to a Toastmasters meeting, you could go find one locally or you can go online and find a virtual one. But then you will see kind of the magic of Toastmasters.
Mhm.
So each meeting is very organized. Each club may have a little variation of what it is, but the one of the first things you learn is how to structure a meeting so that it begins and ends on time, how
Mhm.
you give people roles, how different people can have learn leadership skills. So it doesn't always have to be the same leader all the time. And a leader can there might be the president of the group, but they may only talk for a little bit. And then so you get to balance things out and do different things. So it's not like in a job where you have a job and you do that job all the time. Toastmasters, you get to take on different roles. So you get to see like strengths that you didn't even know that you had. So
Mhm.
oh, I didn't know that I was funny this way or do this different thing.
Yeah.
And then Toastmasters, over the years it's changed. So if you haven't been to one in a long time, it may have seemed kind of like old fashioned or whatever. They've really kind of brought it up with the times. It's online now. You don't get the paper um
Right. The book.
books anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you might be able to order those or find somebody that may have them in their basement or something. But they've really structured it so that you can have your whatever your speaking desires are, that whatever your goals are, you can set a path for yourself for that. So if you want to become more of a humorous speaker, you can go that path. Or if you want to be someone that does more inspirational speaking, you can go that path. But they have it so that everybody starts the same. So you start off and you kind of go through the same things. So you have the same exact growing pains, and everyone that's there is there to support you. So if you've
Mhm.
ever thought like the worst thing ever is not dying, it's public speaking, that they were there to support you and they're going to clap for you. They're going to give you positive feedback. And, they are going to pump you up a little bit. Maybe you're not on your best, but it gives you this feeling of like, I can do this. I've got people that have my back and
Mhm.
they are really there for you and they're cheering you on. It's not a competition and you learn all kinds of things. And it also opens up doors. So you won't believe how many different people are Toastmasters. People that are excellent speakers that are professional speakers are still in Toastmasters, and they're there really to kind of give back and help people. So you're going to meet people from all walks of life. You can probably meet people that are younger than you, way older than you, somewhere in between, people that maybe have talent with audio visual that maybe you've never done that before, or maybe they've spoken in front of a crowd that you've never spoken in front of, but now they have connections and they can help you out. And it's like a brotherhood, sisterhood. It's just a very family oriented kind of atmosphere. I've gotten clients from it. I've gotten all kinds of, it opens up doors. I mean, it's really there to help you. And I truth be told, I'm not a Toastmaster currently, but I think once a Toastmaster, always a Toastmaster. And and if you want to go all the way to like the Olympics of Toastmasters, you can do that. And so there's just a lot of great things about the organization. So I try it out. Just go to a meeting. You don't have to be a member to go to a meeting.
Nope. And this podcast is a direct result of a Toastmasters project.
Really?
It is. Yeah. Yeah. Level 4 in my pathway. It was one of the electives. Yeah. And it was, I'd never listened to a podcast before. It seemed the most challenging. And at that point I was like, all right, I'm here. I'm doing it. It's scary. And I thought you have to do 60 minutes of content and then put it out into the world. And I thought, well, it better be something I care about. So I decided to talk about veganism. And here we are 4 years later. And it's incredible. And speaking to your Savvy Frugal Vegan, Toastmasters is incredibly cost effective. And what you get out of it versus what you pay into it, it's like night and day. When I first started looking for public speaking practice and stuff, I kept finding these programs that were like, you go for 5 days to like a seminar and it's $5,000 and you're supposed to be some expert speaker after you're done after 5 days. Toastmasters cost me like $120 a year. And I get to go twice a month, every month, and get all of that support and that learning that you were just talking about. And it's like, you can't beat it. It's incredible.
Yeah, and you get opportunities to volunteer and and some people are members of more than one group.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, they'll know somebody else that's in this group, and then they'll be like, hey, we need a guest speaker for this group. Do you want to come speak? And so then it gives you other speaking opportunities. So it's a wonderful organization. Now you make me think I need to join one again.
Yeah, do it. Heather, thank you so much. There has been so much really just helpful information here, but also really engaging and fun conversation. I can't thank you enough for joining me. I've got one more question for you.
Is it about hummus?
It might be. How does hummus show up in your life?
Okay. So my husband loves hummus. So it shows up in my life a lot. But I do have a funny story. So hummus is one of those things that when you're vegan, hummus is very, very common, which I think that is probably the root of the name of this show. Well, because, people are always going to bring hummus and, there's hummus, right? So my husband and I were traveling. We had gone to New York City, and this was right after the whole 9/11 thing. And so the TSA was on alert, and I think there was maybe the shoe bomber or something. Anyways, so there was like no liquids, no gels, all of this kind of stuff. So we were going to travel from New York City to Oregon, and I knew that we were going to have a layover, but it was going to be a quick layover. So we were going to be traveling for hours, and we wouldn't have time to get something to eat. And airports are the worst when you're vegan anyway. So you always want to pack. So we're in New York City, and it's Sunday, and I'm thinking that everything's going to be open. It's New York City. Nope. Everything was closed, and we had a flight to catch. So we're running up and down all these streets trying to find a store that's got something that we can eat. And we finally find a grocery store, and we're like, oh, thank God. And so I get some vegan yogurt, some hummus. We get a big thing of bread. I got some soy milk, like I just started packing it up. I don't know what I was thinking about the soy milk, but anyway, so I put all this stuff in the bag, and we got some black bean hummus. We got some regular hummus. And then we get to TSA, and they give us a hard time with thinking, oh, oh my God, what is it? I'm like, we already ate the yogurt. And so they pull out the hummus and they're like, what is this? And I'm like,
Oh,
it's
no.
hummus. And they're like, no, gels or liquids. And I'm like, it's made from chickpeas. And then they pull out the black bean and the black bean hummus, black bean dip, and they're like, what is this? And I'm like, black bean dip? And they're like, no, gels or liquid. And she like picks up the trash can and triumphantly throws them into the trash can. We had spent all this time getting this food, right?
Yeah.
So my husband lets out a really loud, right? And I mean, it was like you could hear it everywhere because it was just like that. Like you've just it was like a primal scream. You just took away our food. And so then they let us in and whatever. So we get down to the gate and he's like, God, what is left? And I go through my bag. I forgot I had got a gallon of soy milk. I don't know why. They did not take away the soy milk. So
that's a liquid.
It was a genuine liquid. So so I have now traveled with hummus since then, and I thought, okay, it's fine. Last time I flew, now Portland, Oregon airport, they got a lot of vegans going through there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hummus, okay. I bought chocolate hummus. I was so excited to eat this chocolate hummus. I brought strawberries. Oh, I love chocolate hummus. That is my favorite. So I'm going through the TSA and the guy is like, oh, you can't bring this through. And I'm like, what is this? Like 9/11 all over again? Like, what is going on? He's like, no, this is not allowed. I'm like, I've brought hummus through here many times. It's like, we catch people all the time with hummus. And I'm like, I'm like, well, wait, what are you going to do? I'm like, it's sealed. It's like, it's obviously sealed from a company. It wasn't like I made the hummus, you know? And so then he's taking away. I'm like, please. He's like, you can go back out and eat it. And I'm like, there's a giant line that I just waited all this time to get through TSA. I'm like, I'll miss my flight. He's like, well, I guess you're not going to get it. And so I'm like, well, I guess somebody's going to have something yummy to eat later. And he's like, oh no, we're putting this in the garbage. I'm like, what? And so he walked over. There was a garbage that was literally like 2 steps from me. He tosses it in the garbage. This is like out in the hall area, right? So it's like not behind the counter somewhere. He puts it in that garbage can. And I'm thinking, if he thinks there's an explosive in that chocolate hummus, why would he put it in a trash can that everybody's going to walk past?
Right.
I so wanted to put my hand down that garbage can, but I thought this would be a federal offense and I'm going to get arrested if I try to get my chocolate hummus. Yeah. So I left the chocolate hummus there, but I'm thinking, this is like the hypocrisy of that. And like, if he really thought it was that explosive, he's not going to be standing next to it. Mm-hmm. So, and then, so I have talked to them about the whole thing with like peanut butter, hummus and all that. If you put it on a sandwich, they will not take it away from you. But if it is in a container, they're going to take it. A sealed
container.
Yes.
But now, a sandwich in a little baggie or container, okay.
They're not. Okay. Right. Last thing about this story. I'm going to Frankfurt. They are like, you think like, okay, the Germans are very serious about things and all this. They had one of the best TSAs ever. Friendly. Everything was efficient. Everything went through. And so I said to the guy, I'm like, I got to ask you a question. If I had hummus in my bag, would you have stopped me? Would you have taken away my hummus? And he's like, looks at me. He's like, hummus? And I'm like, hummus. He's like, no. Like I was like insane. I was asking this question. So yes, you can go through the Frankfurt airport with hummus.
All right.
But not New York and not Portland.
Unbelievable. Heather, thank you so much. What a great story. I'm very sorry though, and sad about all of that hummus that has ended up in the garbage. My goodness.
I know.
So painful.
It's so painful. But put it between 2 slices of bread and then you're okay.
That's the answer. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me, Heather. I can't wait for people to hear this.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Welcome back. Heather left me feeling inspired to get more creative in the kitchen and with my bank account. I loved her comment about being a bebop cook and to cook like jazz. I've been feeling pretty stagnant in the kitchen lately, and this helped me break out of that. She also reminded us that what we look at, we can impact, meaning turning a blind eye to our bank accounts is only going to hurt us. When we know what is happening and where our money is going, we can start to make different choices. To connect with Heather, visit her website, savvyfrugalvegan.com, subscribe to her YouTube channel, and follow her on Instagram and Facebook, all at Savvy Frugal Vegan. I hope you found this episode helpful and inspiring. Please subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're loving it, please give Did You Bring the Hummus a 5-star rating and leave a review. It's an easy way to keep supporting the show. Be sure to share these episodes with your friends. If you're finding something good here, they will too. If you're a vegan or know a vegan who would be a great fit for the podcast, follow the Be a Guest link in the show notes. Fill out the quiz and I'll be in touch. Get on my mailing list and stay up to date on all things Did You Bring the Hummus. Check out the Support the Podcast tab on my website for more info on how you can help support the show as a monthly contributor or by sponsoring episodes. You can also sign up for my group meditation sessions. Get more info on all of this via the links in the show notes. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Did You Bring the Hummus, and visit my website, didyouBringTheHummus.com, for more information about me, updates on what I'm working on, new podcast episodes, and all things vegan. Finally, I would love to hear from you. What do you need help with? Is there a topic you want to hear covered on a future episode? DM me on Instagram or send me an email at info@didyouBringTheHummus.com. Thanks for listening.